There's an argument founders have been having for years. One side says, get covered, land the press, win the award, get on the stage. Let somebody credible say it about you. That's earned media. The other side says, stop asking permission, point a camera at yourself, publish it, build your own audience, which is owned media. And that's what I do. A lot of people believe these are competing strategies, that you have to pick one. My guest today builds earned media for her clients. She gets executives seen, placements, stages, awards, the stuff you can't buy. And here's where this got interesting for me. The more we talked on this episode, the more obvious it got that we're not on opposite sides of the fence. We're building the same asset from two different directions, and most founders are missing both. So today, we're figuring out how they actually stack, which one comes first, and what it costs you to keep waiting. This is Return on Reputation. Let's get into it. Katie, welcome to Return on Reputation. I'm really happy you reached out. I'm really happy you're on the show because for a lot of different reasons. But mainly I want to dive into this argument of earned, owned, paid media, the world we both operate in. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But I figured, big welcome to the show. And we could start out with a little bit about you and Ripple Consulting and what you're doing.
I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, Midwesterner, and I moved to Nashville, in 2008. And since I've been here, I've always had a career in, I call it the very corporate world, which is such a great thing. We're talking like banking, healthcare, finance. And I've learned so much along the way, obviously. But as I was nearing my 40s, I love to say, my favorite thing to say about that time in my life is that I had a midlife awakening, not crisis, because we need to rebrand that. And I was talking about branding, and I was looking around and I was thinking, who do I want to be when I grow up? And how do I want to feel? And all of those existential questions you ask yourself. And I realized through a lot of growth and self-work that I was made to be an entrepreneur. That's how I'm wired as a human. And the way I was showing up in the corporate world wasn't maybe the healthiest, because it wasn't the corporate world's fault. It was my fault. Right. And I decided to leave the corporate world about 6 months before the pandemic. So the worst timing ever. But that taught me a thing or two about patience and healing and what am I doing here? Because frankly, I opened Ripple Consulting Group with just, I'm going to do marketing and PR and everyone's going to know how awesome I am because I've had these big jobs. That was an epic fail because I knew I could do it. I knew I had the chops to do it, but I didn't really know or do the work to figure out what my positioning was, point of view. All of the wonderful things that I do for my clients today, I didn't know or do for myself when I first started. So for a while there, it was like very generalist marketing and PR, and it evolved over the years. I've been in business for 7 years to executive visibility, is getting executives seen by the audiences that need to be seen.
Yeah, I think you phrase it publicly as like solving the invisibility gap, which
Yes.
we're going to get into a little bit. But that's very cool. I don't think it's that uncommon. Same thing happened to me. It was like, wait, why did I, after year one, I was like, why did I skip over all the foundational work that I do for every single one of our clients?
Call that what you and I do so well is we read the label of that everyone's swimming around in. It's hard to do that for yourself. So you need to call in reinforcements and help. Do it yourself through self-awareness. And is this landing? Is it not? What am I doing wrong here? It's not them, it's me.
Yeah. But
my husband has the same. Yes. Same.
If you had, real hair, I did once, and that would be really hard. And I think for whatever reason, I find it also easier to see other people's, like to work on other people's stuff from outside rather than being in it constantly. Right. So maybe it sounds like that's where you were when you first started, but now you're very focused and you've been at this for 7 years. And I think I want it. I mean, was it just when you jumped, it was like 2019 when you made that jump?
Yes.
Was it scary to make that leap, or were you already like, I know I'm ready to go?
So to back up a little bit, I did for a brief period of time, for about 2 years, 2010, I did start on a whim. I didn't know what I didn't know, an event planning company. I just I don't know. I felt called to do it. I felt convicted. It was during the financial crisis or the tail end of it. And I was working in a bank. And I'm not going to go anywhere in the marketing department anytime soon. So I figured I'd take a chance. And that was so cool because I didn't know anything and I wasn't afraid. I just
Mm.
did it. I didn't have there wasn't a ton of risk there because I didn't have a family at the time. But I think what that experience taught me is that I could absolutely do it and figure it out. And I only did that for 2 years and was hired by a client, which was a hospital. Worked at a hospital as director of marketing and PR. And that's really where I that's really where I grew up in my career because you're typically the only person doing that job in the hospital. And it's crisis, it's earned media, it's owned,
Mm.
it's
You're doing all of it.
everything.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for that time. But to answer your question, why and was it scary? Of course it was scary, but at the time I'm like, I know I can do this. I know I'm made of it and I owe it to myself to try because I kept hearing this, I don't know, whisper or voice. It was like, get
Okay, so you were in corporate you went into corporate
Mhm.
2010. You say, hey, I'm starting my own company, you do events planning and PR. So that you did that for a few years. The client hires you, you go into PR, marketing director, which is like you're doing everything. Like that is you're in
Yes,
charge of the
not only
strategy, the branding, the PR, the paid media, all of it.
the
So I
cool
guess,
thing.
yeah, why at that point you were like, hey, I'm ready for round 2 of entrepreneurship?
I think it had a lot to do with getting closer to 40. And
Right.
I had just had my son, so he was really little at the time. And I just had this overwhelming sense of there should be, could be, better be more for me.
Yeah.
And I was nearing 40, and you're not getting any younger. And so if you're going to do this thing, you might as well do it now, or else you're going to be stuck.
Mm.
There is a really nice stability to having a paycheck every 2 weeks and benefits. It's lovely.
Yeah.
And I'd be lying if I said there weren't times where I just want to press that button and go and do that again. But I know in my bones and who I am as a human that I'm not wired for that anymore. And that was
Mm.
an amazing season of my life. But who I am today is someone who does things on her own terms and has freedom and choice and
Yeah.
building something. And it's the coolest thing. It's so fulfilling.
It is so fulfilling. And this is, I'm curious, did you have anybody in your life who was a role model for as an entrepreneur?
I grew up in a funeral home. My family is in the funeral industry. It's their generation now. And so I actually grew up working there in the
Okay.
summers and doing odd jobs as you can only imagine. And I lived there for a while, actually in high school and right after college. Above, like there's the old ones, they're built with an apartment above it. So the family can live there. So I was surrounded by the thought that I too could be an entrepreneur one day. It was a possibility. But it's funny because looking back in school, at least when I went to school, especially college, there were not entrepreneurial tracks, if you will.
Mm.
It was
Mhm.
like you will go into this lane, you will stay in this lane, and you will get a big girl job. It was not modeled in school that that was even a possibility. And looking back, I'm so grateful that I was surrounded by the thought that I could do
Mm.
it.
Mhm.
And it made it a little easier because I think that was also the culture in my family. Is like, this is hard, and you talk about business all the time, and especially that industry,
Yeah.
death
That's
doesn't care
fair.
what time it is, right? So,
Yeah.
like, growing up with that possibility makes me feel very grateful, and also growing up in the environment in which the reminder of the fragility of life,
Mhm.
I think also was a huge reason why I'm like, "Hey,
Now's
there
the
is
time.
literally only one life we live. It's not a dress rehearsal, and so do the thing. Do the thing that you really wanna do or you're gonna regret it."
Yeah.
And that was helpful in making my decision to be an entrepreneur.
So true. I love that. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's like I want to dive in head first. The world in which we're both operating in, there's 3 types of media, right? And if
Mhm.
you're listening, you know this: earned, owned, and paid. And that's
Yep.
it. So in your opinion, through your experience at Ripple, how do you frame the three and how they operate together? Or if they're separate, does one take priority as you're starting to build your personal brand and your company logo brand?
They have to be at least cousins.
Okay.
They have to be at least cousins. They have to work together. They have to be closely related. Sometimes a brother and sister. Um, right? And the biggest difference between owned and earned, what I focus on a lot is that owned is it is your message. It is you saying the thing about you or your organization and putting it out there. Earned is you're pitching what a
Yeah.
company does or who someone is or how amazing and brilliant they are. But a third party media outlet says yes and they validate
Right.
it. And they're
Right.
like, okay, cool. That is interesting. And I am a credible source. I'm a journalist. I'm a reporter, whatever that looks like. And they say yes. And so the two have to be on the same page. They have to work well together. They have to always be in sync as far as what are we saying to the world? What do we know? What do we
Right.
want to be known for? And it all has to tie back to that message, which I call the zone of
Absolutely.
genius.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. And I don't disagree with you. I think they do have to work together. They're in a the brown. So the brand foundational work is the positioning, everything, and then it has to continue in each in their own direction,
Right.
working together. Do you feel that there's a better time for one over another during the trajectory of a business? Is like when you're working with a client, I know you're working a lot on earned media. Where are they in their foundation for people listening?
It completely depends on the client, of course, but usually there's a triggering event. Usually it's we have a new CEO and the
Okay.
CEO has never been visible. It's we have this huge announcement coming up. Maybe there's a merger and acquisition coming up. Maybe they're preparing to sell. There's usually a trigger. I typically don't work with organizations who are startups because
Okay.
we're just in different spaces. And usually what I have found in my experience is startups are doing that foundational work that is so important. But to be fair, it takes time to have that evolve.
Yeah.
And they're
Oh, yeah.
figuring out who they are and what they want to be known for. So I usually step in later when it's like, okay, we have the foundation, we know what we're doing, but we really need to refine it and we really need to home in on the basics of like who do you help, the what is the problem you solve and the result.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
that is overlooked for a long time because organizations are just trying to get going and to get their marketing out there and to sell and land deals. But if they've skipped the most important part, in my opinion, of doing that foundational work and really figuring out what they want to be known for and why the audience cares, that's a big one.
Mm. Yeah. So
You can't.
we always ask people, like, why do you need to exist in the world? If you didn't exist in the
Mhm,
world, what would happen to your target audience? Would they feel more pain? Why do they need you to exist for their lives to be better?
mhm.
Which is very similar. It's what you're saying as well. And then I think the other big piece, in my opinion, I think today to stand out, you need a unique positioning statement, right? You need a prickly opinion a-
Yes.
and the courage to go out into market with that.
And to continue to do it,
Yeah.
to be consistent with that and to
Yeah.
stay in what I call that lane, because if you don't, the water gets so muddy.
Yeah. Yeah. Of
And the people that we work with are so brilliant and multi-talented and multi-passionate,
course. Yeah.
but they just have a hard time, again, reading that label of the jar that they're in.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we translate that to, okay, so why would the media care about this? And why would they be interested? And what is that point of view that's a little different
Hmm.
and makes them stand out and makes a reporter say yes?
Totally. It's sales.
Mhm.
That I love PR and in pitching because it is sales, right? Just like
Yes.
life is sales. And it's like you're saying you have to put yourself in their shoes to say, all right, why am I bringing value to this reporter
Mhm.
or this article, this story, etc. And I think if you can do that well, I mean, I used to run my own PR, my first company. We were so small. We were the startup that couldn't afford your services,
Mhm.
right? And I was like, okay, how am I going to get the story out? And we did all three, earned, on
Mhm.
paid. But the earned was very tricky, right?
Mhm.
That was like, I got spun. It was like, thankfully I had a friend who kind of coached me through that,
Mhm.
but it's tricky. There's a real need for what you do, because if you don't know what you're doing, like that, that interview can turn sideways on you. And you're like, I didn't say it like that. Or the questions they ask you, you answer incorrectly. And it's so, how do you handle that for executives?
We've got to be prepared.
Yeah.
It's all about being prepared. But again, it goes back to that foundational messaging. We always start with a strategy session, of course, and we're asking a million questions, a million different ways. And we're asking questions that get to topics, which is so important.
Mm,
So, what we're looking for is topics we can write a thought leadership article on, but also pitch it as a contributing artiple.
okay.
Also, have that same idea as a podcast pitch
So
or
repurposing it
exactly.
for every different medium.
Because
Yeah.
it always goes back to what is your zone of genius? What is your point of view? And how can we translate that into a topic that your audience cares about?
Hmm. Yeah. Do you ever have clients who are afraid to stand out with that unique perspective, or because they're going to alienate part of the market?
Sure. It can be tricky because to put yourself out there means that you're establishing yourself and your point of view as the face of the company
Yeah.
or the spokesperson. And you can't take that back. So it is scary.
Right. Right.
It's terrifying. And we've all done it. We all have to do it for ourselves. And at the end of the day, though, it's your point of view. It is your story.
Hmm.
We never focus solely on the leadership and what that executive has done for the company and all of that. We also focus on who they are as human beings.
Hmm. Okay.
And we're always looking for that nugget of storytelling that makes them more human and unique and vulnerable and relatable.
Yeah.
And so we always are looking for a way to make it theirs, uniquely theirs, and for them to own it. And that takes time and it takes practice. And over time, muscle memory kicks in and they're like, yeah, I am the expert on this. Unfortunately, you and I are probably both dealing with imposter syndrome.
Mm, I used to. Yeah. When I first started, I think, especially in my first career, in my first company, that was hard.
Yeah. And not only you and I have dealt with it and have had to overcome it somehow,
Yeah.
but the surprise is these executives have imposter syndrome in some way. I
Sure.
don't want to be that person and no one will care what I have to say. And it's like, but look where you are. You're so brilliant. And it's just taking the time and listening and actually utilizing empathy, which is a superpower, to get them more comfortable.
Hmm. Do you think, I mean, what can earn do that own doesn't? Because I mean, they're already an expert. So like, you're pitching yourself, you land the pitch. What does that press do that like owned media cannot do, or doesn't do as fast, or whatever?
It's someone else saying
It's like a
that you're the
testimonial.
expert. It's a
And
testimonial. It
yeah.
is,
Okay.
yes, we agree this person has something worth saying, and it's a third party. And it's it's also data. Data doesn't lie. And so when you do get that third party credibility, it's you can look at data about unique monthly views for that website. And although it's hard to tell exactly how many eyeballs are on a contributing article, well, we can certainly tell how many people are looking at that website every month. And does it make sense for their ultimate goals? Is it a trade publication? I mean, all of those are factors. But it's that instant credibility that it's not you saying the thing about you, it's someone else saying the thing about you.
Sure. It's the logo of that media source too, right? It's that,
Right.
yeah. I think, but in today's world, I believe that every company should be a media company first with a product or service attached to it, just because of social media. And I think people want to hear from the founders and the executives of the companies more and more at least from a B2B standpoint. They're not usually there. And LinkedIn is becoming massive. So I guess, where do you land on that? Because I feel like a lot of the lines are blurring, because earned and owned, some people have told me that they're like, oh, you're in PR. I'm like, I'm really not. We help create owned media and community over a long time, and help create their constant media presence for you. But we're not pitching ever.
Right.
What do you think in today's media landscape? Like, where does the road hit the rubber for you?
PR is having a great moment. Thanks to AI. It's having a great moment.
Why?
And,
What
you
do you mean,
know,
thanks to AI?
there are multiple studies, and I'm not just making this up. This is real.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Muckrack has done 3 studies now
Okay.
that say that earned media makes up 84% of AI citations. That is undeniable. And
Yeah,
that is AI preferring that third-party credibility.
for sure. I mean, that's always been the case with SEO. It's the same
Right.
thing, right? Yeah. Third-party links help quite a
Yeah.
bit.
But I think there's more visibility around it now. So
Yeah.
I say that PR is having a moment, and
That's great.
yeah, it's helpful.
Do you think, okay, so when you're just tactically getting into the weeds a little bit, when you're working with clients, are you going direct to the sources? Say, hey, we've got this target list. We're just going to work the list. And obviously your relationships come into the play there. Are you also helping them put out wires? Do you believe in wires? Does that work? What is that? I'm just curious. What are the tactics, Katie?
It all starts with strategy. So when we have that initial big meeting of where we talk about things so many different ways, and we're getting to the root of, okay, who are you? What do you offer the world? All of that goodness.
Yep.
We come back with this strategy that encompasses not just, oh, we're going to hit the trades, but the exact trades.
Yeah.
We include the exact sample pitches so the client knows exactly how we're going to pitch them and put them out into the world. So we're all aligned, we're all on the same page. So we do a ton of research up front. But as you know, with PR, it's a long game, and it takes a lot of time and research and outreach to get to a yes.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of pivoting as well, because you may pitch a certain topic for a few months, whether it's a podcast contributing article, interview with the CEO, whatever that looks like, all of the tools in the toolbox. And you realize, this just isn't landing. You got to try something else. So it's all about doing a crazy amount of research to figure out where those audiences are. And then you got to figure out the reporters, and then you have to come up with a pitch. So it's multi-layer and multi-step. But the truth is, you have to keep trying. It doesn't stop after month 1, after you get that strategy finalized. It continues, and PR is a long game. So it's, yes, staying within those parameters of the initial document of, here are the trades we're going to hit, and here are the podcasts, but that changes and evolves all the time. So it's usually a living, breathing document we prepare, because we know it will evolve and change, as it should.
For sure. Why do you specifically work with the executives to build their brands? Why not the company at large in this whole, as you're talking?
People buy from people, and people buy from people who they know and trust. And I say, we raise the profile of the executive, which in turn raises the profile of the organization.
Yep.
It's good for both. And that's undeniable. And there have been some times where I've had a prospect call and they say, our leader, our CEO isn't exactly excited about this. And
Sure.
they,
Yeah.
want to do this PR work for whatever reason. They're growing. Maybe they have private equity, whatever that looks like. And they're like, yep, that's a hard no. Our CEO isn't going to participate. And so I always say, okay, we can offer PR for the organization, but who's going to do the quote? Who's going to be put on the podcast? Who
Right.
are we going to showcase is the face of the company? Who is that person? And so it really makes people think like, oh, they're
It
both
has to
tied
be
together.
someone.
It has to.
Yes. Yeah. Entirely.
Because talking about wires, is if you do send a press release out on the wire, first of all, please make sure it's actual news. Oh my gosh. But who's going to be who's going to have a quote in that press release?
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about it that way.
Yep. That lands pretty heavily with what we do as well. There's so much overlap. It's funny, but like a lot of people were like, I'm afraid to be a public face,
Right.
or they're worried we would show up with cameras in an office for a day and do a whole thing, a whole video, teleprompters, everything. And as soon as you turn on the camera, people freeze.
Mm,
Like half our job at that point was to coach you from behind the camera. And I
right.
feel like it's the same, like when you jump into that interview seat, a lot of people are like, oh, wow. Like they lock up, even though they're an expert and they're in their zone of genius. It's like,
Right. It's such
um,
an interesting thing, isn't it, humans? How
yeah,
we how we
yeah,
behave when there's a camera on.
it's crazy. It's not a normal thing talking into a camera for sure. But
No.
I think there's a level of just doing the reps, and there's like a muscle building that process. Like you just got to do the work. So I guess I think we both agree, like just to wrap all this section up, it sounds like we were both saying the same thing. It's like you need both earned and owned media, and then you can amplify those things with paid.
Yes. Paid is an excellent tool if there's a particular reason, if there's something big going on, there's a campaign that needs to happen. It's all part of it. It's all part of this amazing toolbox we have as marketers and PR practitioners.
Yeah, no, totally. I will oftentimes use organic, and if it's performing really well, we'll double down on that piece of content and we'll throw a CTA at the end, and that becomes the ad, which I think you could probably do the same thing for an earned media placement, where it's like that quote is awesome. We're going to use that and run that as an ad.
And it's so helpful to have that content.
Yes.
Always. And to repurpose it and to be smart enough to leverage it.
Yeah. The other piece I just wanted to bring back up, and we just said it again, but like you talk about the zone of genius.
Mhm.
How do you define that? What is that? How do you find it for someone if they're like, I don't really know?
It's going back to asking them questions about what keeps them up at night.
Okay.
What could they talk about with their eyes closed
Mm-hmm.
forever? What conversations aren't happening in their industry that they want to happen and they want to be a part of? What have they seen
Finding that
works?
gap in the market.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And inserting themselves into those conversations, but also creating conversation around a point of view that may have been missed and may be unique to that executive. So it's really getting to the root of course, their why. We always talk about the why.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean just them as a leader or a business owner or C-suite executive. It also means bringing the human element into it and asking questions like, why are you CEO and what made you choose this industry? And like you asked me, were you was it modeled to you to be an entrepreneur? And did you see yourself in this position 20 years ago? And how does that feel for you now? And to just approach it in a different way. So it's not so many questions about the organization, because we can do that research on our own, right? We should be able to. We're really good at research. But what we don't know and what is invisible is what makes them tick.
It's like what lights them up.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. And so your job is like helping them pull that out, putting it into a narrative and a story that is going to be newsworthy and will pop or be valuable to the press.
And that always starts with a topic. We have to have a topic to be able to pitch a speaking engagement or a panel or a podcast or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And it's constantly learning from what works and what doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Do you think, I mean, going back to you work with executives because people buy from those they know and trust, and they're the lightning rod of the company, and I agree with you completely on all of that. I think that's going to be more and more the case as we enter this world of AI, where it's like entering this trust economy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why the logos are no longer sufficient. It's harder and harder to hide behind the logo of your company. You need to be out in the forefront. And it's always been true, but I think it's more true than ever before. And do you agree that if we go down this path of AI everything, right? You're already seeing it on LinkedIn, which
Mm-hmm.
I know
Right.
you're on, like the AI slop and all this stuff. It's like, what can I believe? Is that, did you really write that? And that's why I think live works, and a pitch, if you're in an interview, like a live interview, right? That's going to land better than
Right.
anything, I would imagine.
I have always said that if that executive cannot be in a room with someone for some reason, the best way to highlight who they are, show their personality, create that trust and credibility is video, and you're nailing it.
Yeah. Video. I think video is the best. It's
It is.
hard though. It's not for everybody. Or actually, I disagree. I'll say that differently. I think it is for everybody, but you have to get used to it.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to be comfortable with somehow this filter that shows up, this like imaginary filter that shows up. You have to get comfortable with yourself and your message. And I think that's reps. I think that's
Yeah.
trying and practicing and using all the tools we make available to them, both you and I, with talking points. And here are some potential questions a reporter could ask. And it's just getting them to think in different ways about their messaging and point of view.
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally. I mean, when you're talking to the leadership and they're like, hey, our CEO or founder is not going to do it, and you tell them like who's going to give the quote, and they're dealing with imposter syndrome, or they're like terrified of that camera, how do you work with them? What's the smallest possible first step that they can take that you help them with?
Two things. First of all, if no is a hard no, it's not going to be a good fit for us. There are things we can do for the organization, of course, but we specialize in that executive first. So it's really in the discovery of should we work together? Does this make sense? Is it a good fit both ways? The person has to be open to this work, because if not, it makes it really difficult. Been there, done that. So I've right. So I've learned a lot. When we do engage, and maybe they're like on board with it, but uncomfortable, and the words are said like, I haven't really done this before, and I'm not really great on camera, or I'm not really comfortable talking about myself. That comes up a lot.
Yeah.
We don't
Why?
start with talking points. We do not start with talking points and kind of the business of being prepped. We start at the very basics of about yourself. And we make it more light and casual. And what we're doing is we're establishing trust and credibility and building rapport, because these executives may not have hired us. It may have been their CMO or VP of marketing who find this work really complementary to all they've already been doing with marketing and social and all of that. So they might not know us, and we may show up on day one in the room or on Zoom, and they have no reason to trust us or know us. And
Yeah.
so it's our job to do our homework and to start slow and to build that trust as practitioners to get them to the point of eventually they're going to crack and they're going to tell us what makes them tick and what they're excited about and what they've been working on. And what's really fun to see is asking those questions about the why and tell me about your work journey. And what do you like to do for fun? I mean, it's simple, more networking,
Like
ice-breaking
personal
questions,
stuff.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's surprising because it's amazing how quickly their guard goes down when they realize like you're in it to win with them. You're helping them look good. And
You're
we're
on
all
the
on the
same
same page
team.
here.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. 100%. What is the cost? You're obviously, we've already nailed this, but the invisibility factor, what's the cost of them not doing this work? Are there real numbers behind it? I can tell people the cost of this, right? It's like,
Yeah.
obviously your personal brand's not out there. You're not going to get the retention. So
Right.
there's internal and external
Yep.
marketing. I think internally, you're not going to attract the right talent.
Right.
It's way easier to attract amazing talent if everyone knows the CEO and founder,
Right.
and they're like, "Wow, I would love to work with that guy. He's awesome," or gal.
Absolutely. Hmm.
And so I think from a talent perspective, HR, that. But then I think there's a lead, like a pipeline, like you as the CEO, if you're out there making waves, telling your point, and it's sticking in the market, that's going to attract real deals.
Absolutely.
So when you talk, I guess, but is there any data on the invisibility piece where,
So
yeah,
the stat I love, and I always say this when I'm speaking to a group or even at a making my case for PR executive visibility is Golan did a study. The most visible CEOs see an 80% higher average share price than their peers who aren't visible. That is real.
80%.
80%. And so
Wow.
when we're talking about investors and private equity and
Mhm.
selling one day, preparing to sell, preparing to exit, what is happening when you're being Googled? Because it's not just employees, it's not just a recruitment play.
Yep.
It's investors, it is deals, it is, do we trust
So
this
true.
firm over another? And the invisible cost of that, I wish I had data. I don't have the data on that, but
Well, it's
it is
probably
lost.
hard to pin down.
It is lost deals. It is lost
Yeah.
really good hires that you need. It is invisible and it is silent and you just don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
But why not be prepared?
I
Why not
think,
why not try to move yourself forward to where you're not losing that?
yeah, I mean, it's in my opinion, obviously depends on the industry and where you're operating in, but it it could be $1 million, like a $1 million
Sure.
gap between where you guys could be at the org could be operating. It could be multi-millions depending on the industry. But it's hard. I mean, if you're a solo founder operating at like a dog walking business, I don't know. It could be $1,000 or maybe it's tens of thousands of dollars versus the
Mhm.
PE firm and venture capitalist or big corporate company. And the cost could be, it could hundreds of millions.
And that hurts.
Yeah. But yours that, so it's 80% higher public valuation. Am I getting that right? Or is it
Yes, that's
stock
yeah,
price?
average share price,
Share price. Okay.
80% higher.
Yeah.
And,
From a
that is
founder who is publicly known.
mhm,
Okay.
invisible.
Versus then invisible. That's crazy.
Mhm. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Wow.
Because that is data that makes the case.
Yeah.
Instead of you just saying, "This is important and you need to be known and seen,"
Well, it's
we
so
we have data doesn't lie, we have to back it up.
I find it interesting. I talk to so many, whether it's prospects, and they're like, our founder's very busy,
Mhm.
and we don't have. I don't know if or if they're the founders I'm talking to, we're so busy. I don't know if we have time for 4 podcasts a month, which would be 4 hours of their time. And then you look at who is making that time.
Mm.
Elon Musk is out there. Do you think he's busier than you or not? Right? Like, why is he investing in this time?
Mm-hmm.
Pick your famous founder. They're famous for a reason. They're out in the media making the time to do the speeches, to do the keynotes, to jump on the podcasts. Do you ever have founders who are like, I don't know if I have time to go on a pitch campaign?
All the time. And that always comes up if I do my job in the discovery of, should we work together? Does this make sense? And I always ask the question of, hey, we make this as easy as we can, but we cannot do the interviews for you. We cannot show up on that podcast. We can help prep you and we can find them and secure them, but we cannot show up to that podcast. We cannot,
Can't do the work for you.
No, we do a lot of long form writing. And we have a really, really good draft, but we cannot make them review it and approve it. We can't.
Right.
And that's part of the process. We've never put anything out there that they didn't put their stamp on. So it's, are you willing to do this? Is this so much of a pain point for you that you're willing to do the work? Because it is work. Again, our job is to make you look good and to make it easy for you, but there is still work involved and we still need your support.
Mm-hmm.
We're in this together and we have to collaborate.
Totally.
And we usually find that out pretty early on, hopefully, if this is going to be an investment for them. And it's an investment of time and money and resources, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Oh, completely. Is there ever the founder who's like, I don't want to be that person? Is it like do they fear like an ego? Like they want to, is that ever a part of the equation?
Yes. And I think we've all seen examples of the terrible Humblebrag on LinkedIn specifically.
Yes. Yeah.
And I always make like light of it and call it out because I'm like, that makes me roll my eyes. And it's an eye roll moment. There are ways to be the authority and the thought leader that don't require you to say how awesome you are all the time. It's more about sharing your experience, sharing lessons learned, giving your take on the industry, and it's not you being up there saying, I am the most awesome and we've done all this incredible stuff. Occasionally you're sharing like, we won this award and I'm so proud of my team, but there's ways to make it less eye roll and less humble brag and more sharing and contributing your brilliance to other people.
Yes. Yeah. And changing the script like in service of the market, like helping them. Someone said they had reframed social media to be called service media in their head.
Ooh,
and that was an unlock for them. So like they were afraid to show up on social. They were afraid to be this person. But then they started reframing it to say, if I'm not this person, I'm actually doing a disservice to my audience because I have a valuable take. And if they hear it, they'll be able to be that much more successful in their lives and whichever that is. I thought that was really powerful.
Sharing is caring. And
go back to the elementary school. Yeah.
Sharing is caring. And I want executives and leaders of companies I'm interested in to share. For example, I'm not in this space, but restaurants. I want to hear from the chef. I want to hear from the owner about why they started this and their favorite dish and all of those things. I want to know about the people behind it.
Totally.
And how they came up with the name. And I mean, it's interesting and it makes me more of a fan than anything else.
Yeah, I think we all want to hear that human story and the real behind the curtain things that happen, not the polished all the time. Right? It's powerful. Being vulnerable. All right. We could probably keep going with this, but rapid fire, let's jump right into it. This is the end of the show. Rapid fire segment. We're going to do 5 questions today.
Okay.
You can pass if you want, if you're caught off guard, but short, sweet, and we'll go rapid fire.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. What's the most overrated PR tactic?
Sending out press releases on a wire without a strategy.
Love that. Okay. A leader whose visibility you actually respect. It's
Brene
weird.
Brown, clear
She's
as
great.
kind.
Yeah, she's awesome.
hmm
One thing every executive should fix on their LinkedIn profile today.
Their headline.
Say more on that. What?
I should very easily be able to tell who you are, who you help, the problem you solve, and the result.
Cool.
Not you're the CEO of this company. Important, and that should be somewhere.
hmm
But I want to know who you help, the problem you solve, and the result.
Cool. That's great. Nashville, for anyone who's never been there, in one word.
Can I say home? That's generic.
Yeah. No, you can't say home.
Okay, I get it. I get it.
I mean, obviously it's your home.
Vibrant.
Oh, that's great. I've never been there. I would love to go. So I've heard it's amazing. My wife's been there. She had a ball. What do you tell the founder who says they don't have time for any of this?
It doesn't have to be terrible.
What does that mean?
The world needs your brilliance.
Okay.
Because when they say that, there's usually a hesitation of, I don't want to be that person, and I don't want to make time because this isn't important to me.
Mm,
There's a difference.
yeah,
And
totally.
so
Yep.
it's breaking down the barrier of it doesn't have to be gross.
Yeah.
And the world needs to know what you have to say.
That's great. Okay. Final question. What does reputation mean to you today?
Everything. It's how people think of you. And this relates to personal brand as well, but it's all so intertwined and related it's the feeling people have about you when they're not in the room with you.
Mm-hmm. Has that always been the case for you? That 10 years ago, would you have said the same thing?
It was different in my corporate days compared to my entrepreneurial days. It's a lot different because when you're in an organization, you're not really thinking about networking, your personal brand, and posting on LinkedIn. I mean, 10 years ago, it was a lot different.
Yeah,
But
totally.
what I'm realizing now is it's always important, no matter when, no matter what your position. If you're an employee at a corporation, if something terrible happens, if you get laid off, which the market isn't great, and I see people all the time on LinkedIn looking for jobs, it's like you've had to have some kind of presence, some kind of brand reputation out there so people know who you are
Yeah.
and you're top of mind.
Yeah. I think everyone should be depositing that coin into their personal brand every day
Well, I love that.
and their reputation. So where can people find you? We'll drop the links in the show notes, but what's the number one spot you want people reaching out to you? Could be anywhere.
My favorite is LinkedIn.
Okay.
Katie
Cool.
Radel.
Okay.
And I know you'll link, and my website is rippleconsultinggroup.com.
Perfect. All right, Katie, thank you so much. We'll put those links in the bottom of the show notes. And thank you for the time. It's been great having you on the show.
Thank you, Justin.
All right.